Thank you. Greetings from Wisconsin. How is it in Denmark? Is it nice and cold like it is here? About to get a ton of snow. Pretty early for this time of year. What an update. 5 kids is a lot. How is that, handling that every day? I don't have any yet, but 5's a lot. And no riding for 10 days. It's probably pretty sore. Hey, Milan. Nice. Gym and yoga day, I love those. I definitely want to have more of those, actually. Those active recovery days. But I don't even like labeling it as that. I just like going to the gym and doing yoga. This feels good. That's an interesting philosophy. It makes sense though. Once they get to a certain age, they start helping each other. I feel like 10 days is pretty short for a procedure like that. I would assume at least 2 weeks, but 10 days isn't bad actually. Yoga definitely makes you very strong. It won't make you huge. Like you might not get a ton of hypertrophy from it in your muscles, but it definitely makes you very strong. I think the key is how much effort you put into it. If you just kind of go through the motions and do the basics, just kind of stretching a little bit, you probably won't get anything out of it. But if you really do the poses and squeeze your muscles, use your core, and really get a sweat going, like that's when you're really starting to try. And you can get a lot of benefit from that. I've noticed it a lot. It almost replaces strength training sometimes. I mean, you can still do the cycling specific gym exercises, but yoga is so good for overall strength and stability. I want to say it's, I don't know off the top of my head, somewhere around 35 and a half minutes, I think. Something like that. Somewhere around 5.5, 5.6 watts a kilo, I think. I've never been able to do 6 watts a kilo for the entire climb. That's definitely the goal though. But I think sub 36 minutes. Thank you. What's your PB on Alpe du Zwift? Man, I'd love to do it in real life someday. Such an iconic climb. It looks so awesome. It's so hard too. Nice, that's way faster. I'm sure it's harder in real life too, with the weather conditions, the road surface, the changing gradient. Oh man, that is so cool. What company is that, if you don't mind sharing? That sounds like an amazing benefit to go do a trip to the Alps. Iseran, Telegraph, Olivier. That is insane. That is so cool. That's like the trip of a lifetime. Wow. Is the owner of the company or someone at the top a big cyclist? That's so interesting to do a trip to those climbs. That is amazing. Definitely sounds like a European company, not an American company. We don't really have benefits like that. That's amazing. Wow. It's the most beautiful places in Europe. Which Spanish mountains would you want to visit? I've only ever been to Madrid and that's it. No mountains. I stayed in the city. question. I have a real rest day, like a day completely off the bike. I typically do once a week on Monday. And that's no training, no gym work, nothing hard. So I can still go for a walk or do some light yoga, but nothing hard at all. And no riding. That's the best schedule for me, consistently. It's not perfect for everyone. I know some people like to do maybe a couple weeks of riding every day before having a day off, but for me, training and racing year round, it's definitely better to have that complete rest day every week. Wow, I've heard about Malaga. That is so cool. It must be beautiful at this time of year too. It must be nice and warm, easy to ride outside. Not like the winter in Denmark, not at all. Current weekly hours on the bike, I'd say, off the top of my head, it's probably 9 to 10 at least, maybe 11 or 12. But then when I add in the running and yoga, that's probably a couple hours a week. So in total, 12 to 14 when I include the off the bike work, which I definitely do. If it works up a sweat, like going in the sauna for 20 minutes, doing an hour of yoga, 30-minute run, I count all of that in the weekly volume. It seems, I mean, you could look at the bike only, but for me, I like looking at all of the training, all of the workouts. So if I do a 5-mile hike, I'll definitely put that in my training plan. Maybe I'll tweak the intensity if my watch over or underestimates it, but I definitely still include that. I mean, if you're sore the day after, I would definitely include stuff like that. Thanks, Milan. Good to see you again. Talk to you again soon. I'll be back this weekend for a short ride on Saturday and then SRC on Sunday. A nice Asus laptop, ASUS. That's all the favorite gear that I've used for a while when it comes to streaming. The quality is as high as it realistically can be without me spending $5 grand on a laptop. I have an external webcam, a Logitech, pretty cheap, but the quality is quite good. I think the biggest thing to upgrade would be my Wi-Fi maybe, but that's tough in an apartment building. Maybe in a house one day, probably do something like that. And then external microphone here, or I don't know if you call it external, it's connected to the laptop. Fine, F-I-N-E is the microphone. And I've played a lot around with the microphone. That one's really tricky to get the volume right, but still have room for the fans and laptop and everything. It's not like in my face when I'm sprinting. That's the basic setup. I've never gotten a 360 camera, but they look really cool. I try to avoid using my phone for either the streaming or the training app, because the screen is so small. Gotta have it plugged in because it drains the battery so fast. And it's just so much harder to use for me compared to a laptop. Yes, I do a lot of coaching. It's pretty much all online coaching. Maybe a tiny bit of in-person stuff if I have an athlete overlapping at a race that I'm also doing, but mostly online. It's all the information is on my website, ZNehr.com. So you'll find all the details there, but I would say to summarize it, yeah, like I've been coaching for almost a decade now. Studied exercise science, have that background, many years of racing for the national team and everything, so quite a bit of experience with that, and then coaching the national team as well. So I definitely work with a ton of different, like a wide variety of cyclists, but specializing in eSport cycling, virtual racing, gravel and road. Those are my biggest ones. Those are the most athletes. Is there anything that you're looking for in particular? Like fitness goals, race goals, anything like that? Hello, mister. How's it going? Yeah, of course. I'm definitely open to talking with any cyclist, any athlete, at any level, to see where they're at and how I can help them. Yeah, I mean, it's a long time until August 2026. So you definitely want to start now, like in the next month or so, with a lot of base riding. It depends on what your fitness is right now, but you would definitely want to start building up towards that goal, because if you wait till March or April, it's probably too late. You could get to a decent level, but you're not going to be at your best. So yeah, definitely reach out to me on either my website or social media. ZNehr Coaching on Instagram. You can always reach me there. Just send me a DM and I'll see it. And then let's see, Mr. D, 34, training for over a decade, same here, very relatable. So yeah, I would say if you say you started again, I think I would definitely want to ask you about what was that time off? You say you're starting again, so what were you doing before? Were you not riding at all? Were you riding just a tiny bit or something else? And then kind of go from there. 2 rides is probably not enough data to really see where you're at. I would say give it a week, like give it 5 to 10 rides. Something like that. If it still really hurts, then you've probably got a problem with the fit or the saddle. I have a custom Posedla saddle, and that definitely got rid of my saddle sores. I had them for probably 7 or 8 years, and then when I finally got a custom one, it was the first saddle that made that pain go away. As for Tyler, good to see you, man. 48 minutes, around 5-6 months of training. Oh, 48 minutes on Alpe du Zwift. That is super strong, especially at that age. That is something to be proud of. With only 5-6 months of training, I mean, you definitely are above average for sure. I mean, that's a very good level. that early in the sport. So yeah, when you get into structured training and workouts, that's only going to improve from there. And then back to you, 360. Yeah, I can't imagine the 5 kids. I mean, the fact that you can do 4 to 5 hours a week is very solid. I mean, that's about half of what I do, and I pretty much race almost at the top level. So you can get to a very high level of fitness on 4 to 5 hours a week. It really has to do with the structure, the intensity, how you're resting, and all that. You can get so much out of that. If it was 2 rides a week, I'd be concerned, but if you can do 4 to 5 hours, that's very solid. Yeah, I'll get back to you through my website. Sounds great. Yeah, Tyler, I was the same way. My dad was a racer as well. So when I first started cycling, I was way above average right away. There was a huge learning curve with the skills and learning how to race, because talent-wise, strength-wise, I was way faster than I knew how to handle, if that makes sense. I mean, I was strong enough to keep up with, yeah, elite level guys in the first year or 2, but I had no idea how to race, how to handle my bike, tactics, and that kind of thing. There's so much to learn, but yeah, and there's no need to rush either. I know tons and tons of juniors that burnt out by the time they were 17 or 18 because they went so hard when they were 13, 14, 15, like living like a pro, 20-hour weeks, traveling all the time for racing, and like you can overdo it so easily at that age. I would definitely be careful with that, because it's so much better in the long run when you keep your love for the sport and you love training. It's just going to work out in the long run. I would say entry-level power meters, stages power meters are really cheap. I use Favero Asiomba Uno pedals, a little bit more expensive, but I like that I can easily move them between bikes because they're pedal power meters. So I can switch them between the smart bike, gravel bike, mountain bike, road bike, without having 4 or 5 different crank arm power meters. It's a great question. I mean, those are entry level, and then you can get really high level and really fancy, but entry level, I would look at those options. If you see one for under 100, probably doesn't work that well. I don't know if I've ever seen a power meter for that cheap that still is good quality. Yeah, Tyler, I think, yeah, it sounds like you definitely have a knack for the sport. I mean, I would say dealing with the wind, with crosswinds, is a very learned skill. You can be the strongest guy in the peloton, but if you're in bad position and you don't react quickly enough, I mean, you can get dropped in crosswinds easily. So that's something that's very trainable. Just keep practicing, keep learning, recognizing those situations. I wouldn't overthink that one too much. And then with the training rides, I mean, my philosophy that really, really works, and it's very, very simple, is to do your easy rides easier so that you can do your harder rides harder. Because that's what racing is. Racing is you go to your limit, probably past your limit, and then you keep going and keep going and keep going. So if you're doing all your training rides at a medium intensity, like zone 2 is kind of hard, VO2 max is really hard. Zone 1, it's like you still want to push to like keep your average speed up. It's like you're never recovered enough to really go as hard as you can over and over, like you can in a race or in a super hard interval section. Yeah, it sounds like at your pace, using the pacing partners is a really good way to monitor that intensity. I've done that in the past. So it's good to keep your, because if you drop the pace partner, you're probably riding too hard for the target intensity of your session. Indigo, right now my FTP is 380, 385, somewhere around there. On a good day, probably closer to 385. Bad day, 370, 375. My legs are very sore right now from doing the 5K race yesterday and then doing the heat training. The heart rate is very high compared to the power output, but it's all part of the session today. I'll take it super, super easy tomorrow to recover. Yeah, Tyler, I think 9 to 10 hours is pretty much what I do, and I'm able to compete at the top level and still improve and keep improving, so I wouldn't overthink that too much, especially at this time of year. If you live in the US, I'm just assuming that you do, I might be wrong, but if you live in the winter climate right now, it's gonna be super cold, probably snowy and icy, so you're gonna be indoors for a few months. The volume's gonna come down, and that's fine. You can get a ton of quality out of indoor training. There's so much more structure, and you never coast. Outside, it's a lot easier because, especially on group rides, you can draft and coast through corners, rest at stoplights, that kind of thing. Oh yeah, you're in the UK, so it's probably very similar. It's probably very difficult to ride outside from December through February, at least, if not longer. So don't worry too much about the volume. Focus on the quality, and then you can get to a really good level of fitness. And then when you can ride outside again, because you haven't been overdoing it the whole winter, you have that extra level of freshness to push harder and do more when it's nice outside and for the races. You don't want to be one of those guys that peaks in February because there's nothing really going on. It'd be cool to show off at team camp, but then if you're worse in all the races for the rest of the year, it's just not worth it. Yeah, even March is hard to ride outside in the UK, here in Wisconsin, all that. Indigo, to answer your question from before, Conti level, I would say no, I never quite made it to the Conti level, but I did race for Project Echelon right before they were a Conti team, and I pretty much lived as a Conti cyclist. Like, I didn't have a full-time job. I traveled the country doing all the big races, the pro races, trying to get top 10, top 20 in those big races like Redlands and Gila, Joe Martin and Pro Nationals. So I was competing at that level. I wasn't on a Conti team, but I was very close, and I was always trying to beat those guys. Yeah, heat training over an hour is very hard. When I first started doing it, I was only able to go 30, 35 minutes probably before my heart rate would just go to 160, 170 at this same intensity. And the RPE was just so high. But your body really gets used to it quite quickly. And then as you get better at it, doing it consistently, probably twice a week, couple weeks, couple months, you can really adapt quite well. I usually don't do heat training more than 90 minutes. So today, I'm just going to the top of the Alpe, and then I'll cool down from there. So I'm almost there. This is quite a long heat training session, so the heart rate's pretty high, but I think it's a good stimulus. I would say for Mr. D, training plans recommend on Zwift for someone doing a triathlon in April. I don't know all of those training plans off the top of my head. I know that you could look at a lot of that stuff online. There's different websites, recommendations. I'm sure there's some options, some triathlon specific training plans. I would look for one right now that matches the volume that you're doing, and then see how hard that is. And then for the next training plan, if it's 6 or 8 weeks, seeing if you can do a little bit more volume, or if there's any weaknesses that you want to work on in the intense sessions. I would look at the plans like that. I don't know off the top of my head, but I know there's a lot of options. Used to be doing 1 hour a day on Zwift. Yeah, I've lost motivation many times before. I definitely understand that it's a tough place to be mentally. I would always look for something new, whether if it's a new workout structure, a new session, a new group ride or race, something like that that's just different. Like, see what's new and exciting, and then if you're mentally burnt out at this time of year, like, just take a break. It's not worth it to keep pushing. Take like a week off. You won't lose as much fitness as you might think, and come back to it. There's no rush at this time of year, because if you're mentally struggling right now, it's only going to get harder as you get into late winter and spring. Yeah, 100-mile ride is very hard when you're early in your career. It's a big, big day. I mean, 28K an hour, try and do the math. Is that like 7 hours? Something like that? That's a huge ride. That's more than most riders' weekly volume. Indigo, I think that's a very good question. I don't really know. I'm still experimenting with it on my own, because there haven't been a ton of studies on heat training, but I do know anecdotally that the pros do heat training all the time, like year-round, 1 or 2 sessions a week. So I'm kind of sticking to that. For me, if it's 1 or 2 sessions a week, 60 to 90 minutes, that's what I've been doing. I don't know how much it helps. It's a bit hard to tell, but it definitely is quite hard. So if you're not used to it, I'd recommend under 45 minutes to start. Yeah, 5 hours 50. That's still a huge ride. Huge, huge ride. I don't know how many years in I was until I did my first 100-mile ride. Probably a couple years. And it was probably a group ride too. Doing it solo is way, way harder. A lot more planning, a lot more fuel. That's a very good question, but it's definitely an impossible one to answer, because everyone's body composition is so different. Everyone has a different ideal race weight. Like, there's some guys who naturally are 5'10", 130 pounds, and they're really, really strong and really, really fit. And there's other guys at that same height that if you tried to get to 130 pounds, you would just lose all your muscle and strength. And then it goes the other way too, where there's guys that are 5'10", 165, 170, and they're so ridiculously strong. That's the best weight for them. And there's others that at that weight, they're just very overweight and it just wouldn't go well. So I would focus on the quality of your training and nutrition. That's the biggest thing. So if you're eating the right amount, you're not going to bed hungry, you're gaining strength, training is going well, energy levels are good, that's when the nutrition is ideal. If you're hungry, eat more. If you feel like you are overeating, you want to try to cut out or change some things in your diet, try that, and if you keep improving, you can keep going in that direction. It's really hard to say, but you definitely want to follow the high quality nutritional principles first before you do any looking at your ideal race weight. Yeah, I remember some of those rides, those super, super long rides where you're just so bonked the last 10, 20 miles, just like riding through a tunnel, just mentally. Like, it's so hard to keep up with that fueling. But then once you do it, you prove to yourself that you can do it. It's just easier the next time, and you can just keep pushing. Almost there. It's super hot now. That is super fast. 22 mile an hour for 50 miles. That's a very good level. That's almost race speed. That's a solid one. That's another very good question. I actually have been looking into nutrition a lot recently. I haven't started counting the macros yet or weighing out the food, but I'm gonna try it soon for like a short time just to see where I'm at. And I think I'm trying to remember the recommendation per pound of body weight. Is it 1 gram per pound? So for me, 155 pounds, somewhere around there, 150. I can't remember if that sounds right or if it's like half of that. So I'm gonna look into that soon a lot more. Ooh, the heart rate really came up on that one. Just trying to stand up for a few seconds. Almost there. Temperature's really high. I think I'll finish this out with the fan on just to start the cool down process just a couple minutes early. Hey Jamie, good to see you. I would say, I don't know if there's a direct benefit to it this close to SRC. I think there's a benefit to my overall training and fitness. So maybe today's session doesn't directly impact this Sunday, but overall, seems like my fitness has improved. The heart rate has come down a little bit for most efforts, and I'm definitely better at managing the heat, which sometimes in my training room, it's really hard to control the temperature being in an apartment building. So if it gets really hot, I can still perform thanks to all the heat training. So things like that, I think, have more of an effect than maybe today's session on Sunday. I'm 179 centimeters, so 5'11". No, I did not. I met her through a friend. The friend went to school with her in Iowa, and then we met years later after that, a little over 3 years ago, Labor Day weekend. But she knows cycling very well. She's done mountain biking in Colorado. We've done a lot of road rides together. We rode in Madrid together for the ROUVY event. how fast the heart rate comes down. It was really high for a heat training session. I think I have 4 hours left on here. 223 minutes. all for today. Thanks for watching. See you again tomorrow, probably on ROUVY for an hour, and then Sunday for SRC. Thanks for watching. See you next time.